Sir, we found a woman that doesn't believe in the real science. Can we ban her from society?
Yeah, ban her! Ban her!
Here! Well, but how do you know that she doesn't believe in the true science? Well, first of all, she's not wearing a mask, and she's putting everyone in danger. All right, then, bring her forward. Well, I do believe in science. I do believe in science. But you're not wearing a mask. Well, I just got the COVID-19 vaccine, and now these people humiliated me by dressing me up as a witch. Nope, sir, that's false information. That's not true. Nope, we didn't do that. We didn't do that at all. You see, this nose isn't my real nose. It's a false one. Well, we did do the nose. The nose? Alright, and the head as well, but she still doesn't believe in the real science. Yeah, we can't have her hanging around our children. Yeah, get rid of her. Okay, quiet down. What else makes you think that she doesn't believe in the true science? Well, she turned me into Dr. Fauci. Dr. Fauci? Well, I got better.
Get her out
Still
of our
ban her
society.
anyway.
I don't want to
Yes,
see her
ban
anymore.
her. Okay, quiet. There are ways of telling whether she believes in the science or not. Oh, are there? What are they? Tell us, come on, hurry up. Tell me, what do you do with people that don't believe in the real science? We force them to wear a mask no matter what, whether they like it or not. Good. And what happens if she decides not to wear a mask? We lock her in a house for 2 weeks. But wouldn't she then infect her entire family? Yeah, that's a good point. That is a very good point. I wasn't even thinking about that. Yeah, that's a very good point. Tell me, what else helps us prevent the spread of COVID-19? Masks, lockdown, social distancing, watching the media, voting for Joe Biden. I know. Protesting for Black Lives Matter. A vaccine. Exactly. So, logically, if she were to get the vaccine, that means that she is protected from COVID-19. And therefore, she still needs to wear a mask for extra protection, and if she doesn't, then she doesn't believe in the real science.
Society.
Well, who are you so wise in the ways of science? What's going on, everybody? It's Kyle Dockery with the Dockery Docket. We are here with our very 69th episode of the Dockery Docket. I'm excited to be here, and I hope that you are excited to be here as well. So, first of all, I'm really glad that I got to do that Monty Python and the Search for the Holy Grail scene, because I've wanted to use that for so long, and for this episode, it seemed to just work perfectly. However, we might need to jump into that news later, as Joe Biden has finally done something important. He has decided to create some incentives for people to actually get the COVID-19 vaccine. As last week, yes, right when I was already done typing and recording last week's episode, the CDC released new guidelines for people that are vaccinated. If we can think back to episode 67, we talked about how there are only 2 things that vaccinated people could do compared to the unvaccinated. This included attending a small outdoor gathering with fully vaccinated people and unvaccinated people, and dine at an outdoor restaurant with friends from multiple households. Now apparently the science has changed. And now if you are vaccinated, you don't have to wear a mask anymore. How exciting is that? It seems that things are going back to normal-ish, which is a very, very good thing. However, there are some things that need to be questioned about these new guidelines. As even though I am very proud of Joe Biden and the CDC for creating incentives for people to get the vaccine, the question is, what changed? How is it that the CDC went from wear a mask, no questions asked, to vaxxed or masked? Or as Joe Biden likes to say,
It's
vax ed or masked, which doesn't even rhyme, and it also doesn't make sense at all. Well, what if the CDC actually looked at other forms of science instead of the science that told them that they must stay inside and wear a mask 24/7 so they don't get the virus? Maybe the CDC looked at states that had already stripped away their mask mandates. This has already happened in Texas, as on March 2nd, Texas Governor Greg Abbott lifted the state's mandate and said that Texas was 100% open. This caused an uproar, especially for people in Texas that were on the left, as failed senatorial candidate and future gun czar Beto O'Rourke went to Twitter and wrote, "A death warrant to Texans. Add them to the 44,000 plus killed as he failed to confront the pandemic and botched the vaccine rollout, and those who froze to death because he cares more about energy companies' profits than keeping Texans safe. Abbott is killing the people of Texas." There was a lot of people that feared that this could completely backfire on Texas and Governor Greg Abbott, as there was even a video from Joe Biden calling this Neanderthal thinking. Both Beto and Biden probably thought that once the masks were removed, all of a sudden the virus would increase in the state of Texas. However, this was not the case, as 1 month after Greg Abbott passed this controversial bill, cases from COVID-19 continued to decline. As we can see from this tweet from the Texas DSHS, from April 7th, cases a day went down, current hospitalizations went down, and new fatalities, you guessed it, went down. And they were proving that herd immunity is the right way to beat this virus. This report was released a month ago, but today we can still see that cases are still low and are continuing to decline in Texas. Cases have decreased so much that the Texas Rangers were able to have a full stadium for their opening day, and they are continuing to have their stadium full. Many scientists and experts were probably really scared that this could cause a mass of people to get sick and even die from COVID-19. However, we have seen the Texas Rangers Stadium open, and we've also seen restaurants operating at 100% with no increases in cases. Along with this, we are seeing many states relax their COVID-19 restrictions, like Florida, as restaurants are open 100%. Arizona, which never had a mask mandate, but is deciding to ease up on crowd restrictions. Iowa ended their mask mandate in February. Mississippi ended their mask mandate the same day as Texas did, on March 2nd. And there are many others that are following this line of thinking. And in these states, there has not been an increase in COVID-19 cases or deaths. As I already mentioned, Iowa got rid of their mask mandate in February. However, the governor this week went further, as Kim Reynolds signed a new law that prohibits masks in schools. And of course, people are blowing up about this, as they started to call her COVID Kim and claiming that she's putting her state at risk by taking masks out of school. As this tweet says, Governor Kim Reynolds only cares about kids before they are born. This is implying that the governor wants children to die, even though, if we look at the science, we can see that children are not getting this virus as much, and if they get the virus, they are not dying from it. To me personally, I think that this law should be passed by Joe Biden, as there is no scientific reason for children to be wearing masks. My point is, let the kids be kids, and they are not going to die from COVID. Anyway, we also have an example of Democratic states that are starting to lift some of these different mandates, as this week Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer outlined some new plans to open up the state. She called it something like VAX to normal or something like that, like VAX to normal. I guess you can make the point that this little catchphrase is better than Joe Biden saying vax ed or mask. But still, to me personally, I think the little slogan game is a little weak. Anyway, Governor Whitmer claimed that on July 1st, we should be able to fully reopen. The mask mandate should be lifted, and life should be getting back to normal. However, instead of feeling heat from promoting these different actions, she is receiving praise. As for some people, this looks like a victory, as it looks like Big Gretch just put a smackdown on COVID-19. She's even getting an award for her bravery of sending old people with COVID into nursing homes, where they eventually passed away, sadly. Along with this, New York is also planning on reopening on July 1st, just like Michigan is. Once again, the media and everyone else praised Governor Andrew Cuomo for his bravery, even though he also killed old people by sending them into nursing homes with COVID-19. The real big question is, why is it that these states and also other states are opening on July 1st? Is there something scientific about that date? Is that the date that COVID officially dies? Nope, It is all 100% political. It has absolutely nothing to do with science. It is a day that Joe Biden picked, and now the Democratic governors are just falling in line. Well, actually, correction. Joe Biden didn't exactly say July 1st, but he did say that he wanted everyone to be open by July, as he claimed that if we were really, really good, we could have a small barbecue with some family in our backyard. Isn't it ironic that all of a sudden these different Democratic states are starting to open up on July 1st? And they are being praised for their actions, even though Republican governors are starting to open up earlier and people are claiming that they are trying to kill people. The science hasn't changed one bit. However, the politics of science has stayed the same. And that is what truly is dividing our country. The sad reality that we are seeing in this country is that there are two kinds of science: Republican science and Democratic science. The Republican science, when it comes to COVID-19, says, hey, if people get the vaccine or have already had COVID-19, then that means that they won't be able to spread COVID that much. Meaning that we could open up our state and get back to work. Then we have the Democratic science that is much more cautious, which is always a good thing to be safe, but if they had their way, they would continue to have lockdowns. And they would continue to wear masks even if they had the vaccine and are safe. We have seen these two forms of science fight back and forth for the lifetime of this pandemic. Republicans claiming that Democrats are killing people by locking people in their house. And Democrats are claiming that Republicans are killing people because they are too open. The issue that we are seeing right now is that the American people have been conditioned to believe that one side of science is correct and the other side of science is spreading false information. We have also been conditioned to believe that there is only one way that we can defeat this virus, and that is to stay in our homes and never leave. However, if we do decide to leave the house, then we need to wear a mask and be sanitized all the time. Now, there's of course nothing wrong with this line of thinking. However, what we need is a little bit more common sense. As there's an old Spanish proverb that claims, all science is madness if it is not balanced by common sense. Madness would be to continue to lock down in your home and be scared of the outside world. Common sense with the science right now is saying that if you have received the COVID-19 vaccine, or if you have already had COVID, then you are immune from the virus, as your body already knows how to fight it. This means that these people shouldn't be wearing masks, especially double masks, because right now the science is telling us that the virus is going away in America. It's incredible to me how just recently there was an idea that if you got the COVID-19 vaccine or have already had COVID-19 that you still had to wear a mask. And a certain person believed that we should be wearing masks forever. This, of course, is the flip-flopper himself, Anthony Fauci, who has had a record of agreeing with every single position on masks. Going back to when the pandemic first started, he said that people didn't need to go out to get masks. He even claimed that they do more harm than good. Then he was saying that everyone needed to wear a mask, no matter what. And then the COVID-19 vaccine came out, and everyone was like, hooray, this means that we don't have to wear masks anymore. And Dr. Fauci was like, nope. As Dr. Fauci claimed that if you get the vaccine, you should still wear a mask, and it might even be better to wear double masks. All of this was absolutely ridiculous, and it wasn't even scientific at all. It was all political, and it was all for theater, which is wrong, as it confused the American people. We saw this on display in an interview between Dr. Fauci and Rand Paul, as Rand Paul asked a simple question. Take a listen to this.
No scientific studies have shown significant numbers of reinfections of patients previously infected or previously vaccinated. What specific studies do you cite to argue that the public should be wearing masks well into 2022?
The other thing is that when you talk about reinfection and you don't keep in the concept of variants, that's an entirely different ballgame. That's a good reason for a mask. In the South African study conducted by J&J, they found that people who were infected with wild type and were exposed to the variant in South Africa, the 351, it was as if they had never been infected before. They had no protection.
Rand Paul was just simply asking for one study that shows that after you get the vaccine, or after you have already had COVID, that you can get it again. Then Dr. Fauci talks about different variants of COVID-19 that can hurt us, which of course is a very scary thing to think about, especially looking over at India. However, according to the science, the vaccines are actually good at fighting these different variants. Along with this, there is no evidence that there is any variant of COVID-19 in the United States. The case was simple. Even though everyone in the Democratic Party was vaccinated, they all continued to wear their masks, all to show the American people to continue to wear them and to live in fear even though the COVID-19 numbers are going down. Now, in this argument between Rand Paul and Dr. Fauci, Rand Paul mentions just how stupid it is for Dr. Fauci to be wearing 2 masks. Take a listen to this. It's probably one of my favorite things that Rand Paul has ever said.
We're
What
having
you're talking about is
117 that's
conjecture.
becoming more
You're making your
dominant.
policy based on conjecture.
No,
you
it-
have the
it isn't
conjecture that
based
we're
on
going to get
conjecture.
variants, so you want people to wear a mask for another couple years.
No.
You've been vaccinated and you parade around in 2 masks for show.
No.
You can't get it again. There's virtually 0% chance you're going to get it, and yet you're telling people that have had the vaccine, who have immunity. You're defying everything we know about immunity by telling people to wear a mask who've been vaccinated.
No.
Instead, you should be saying there is no science to say we're going to have a problem from the large number of people being vaccinated. You want to get rid of vaccine hesitancy? Tell them they can quit wearing their mask after they get the vaccine. You want people to get the vaccine? Give them a reward instead of telling them that the nanny state's going to be there for 3 more years and you got to wear a mask forever. People don't want to hear it. There's no science behind it.
If only there was someone out there that made an episode of the Dockery Docket talking about that. Anyway, the issue with this line of attack was that the media was behind Fauci 100% and criticized Rand Paul for his comments about both wearing masks and having immunity from COVID-19. The media was claiming that Rand Paul was spreading anti-science and spreading false information, and in doing that, he was spreading conspiracy theories. Well, it looks like a lot of people are going to have to apologize to Rand Paul, as during an interview on Good Morning America, Fauci admitted that his post-vaccine mask wearing was meant to serve as a signal, rather than a genuine attempt to stem the spread of COVID-19. So basically, Dr. Fauci lied. Again, this man should have been fired a long time ago. He's a flip-flopper on everything, and then he lies like this. Fauci also said that as a fully vaccinated person, the chances of me getting infected in an indoor setting is extremely low. Meaning that Rand Paul was right, even though according to the media, he was spreading the wrong science. However, it wasn't just Dr. Fauci that made masks all about political theater, as Joe Biden did the exact same thing. As before a speech, he would come out with his mask on and then take it right off. What is the point in that? The point was all political, and it was all for show. Now we're starting to see the politics of wearing masks jump out even more, as even though the CDC, which we have been told since the very beginning to trust, because they are the real science, told us that if we are vaccinated, we don't have to wear a mask, people on the left are still deciding to wear their masks. Not just to prevent the spread of COVID-19, but because masks have become the MAGA hats for the left. As David Hogg, an anti-gun activist and also a failed CEO of a pillow company to rival MyPillow, was very mad at the CDC for claiming that we can be free to take off the mask. This was because he didn't want to be viewed as an evil, terrible, horrible conservative. As he wrote on Twitter, I feel the need to continue wearing my mask outside even though I'm fully vaccinated, because the inconvenience of having to wear a mask is more than worth it to have people not think I'm a conservative. So even though he is 100% vaccinated and safe from the virus, he will continue to mask for political reasons. I mean, when will this end? If we all had this logic, then people would be wearing masks for years and years, even when COVID-19 is no more. It makes no common sense at all. And this is training people to think of everyone that doesn't wear a mask as an evil, terrible, horrible person, which of course is wrong and absolutely stupid. My issue with this is that David Hogg is not listening to the science from the CDC, and he is also spreading false information. Why is it that Twitter isn't taking this down? Or why aren't they putting a special little sign on it that said that this may be spreading COVID-19 false information? However, David Hogg isn't the only person that is scared that they may be seen as an evil, terrible, horrible Trump supporter because they aren't wearing their masks. As Rachel Maddow went on a rant on her show talking about how she will have to rewire herself to not see people that are not wearing a mask as COVID deniers are terrible people. Just listen to this.
Part of it is that I feel like I'm going to have to rewire myself so that when I see somebody out in the world who's not wearing a mask, I don't instantly think you are a threat or you are selfish or you are a COVID denier and you definitely haven't been vaccinated. I mean, we're going to have to rewire the way that we look at each other.
For the first few months after the masks come off, we might be looking at people differently, as we may instantly think that they need to be wearing a mask, and then we're like, oh wait, science has told us that we are fine to not wear masks anymore. However, once again, we are seeing that Rachel Maddow is denying the CDC, which means that she is denying science. Now, it is okay to be skeptical and wonder if this system will work, as many different doctors are scared because there is no way to prove if people are actually vaccinated or not. The CDC or the Biden White House have not come up with a plan of making people show their vaccination cards or their vaccine selfie, which is actually a good thing because that would be unconstitutional and would definitely cause a lot more problems. Even Joe Biden himself is like, well, I don't know how we're going to enforce it. We just want people to wear a mask if they aren't vaccinated. I mean, just take a listen to this.
We don't enforce it. We, in fact, if you haven't been vaccinated, wear your mask for your own protection and the protection of the people who are also have not been vaccinated yet. It's not an enforcement thing. We're not going to go out and arrest people. But the fact of the matter is, I still believe the vast majority of the American people care about the safety of their neighbors and care about the safety of their families. And like I said, if you've been vaccinated, you don't have to wear your mask and you can shake hands. You can even give each other a hug. But if you've not been vaccinated, please wear the mask.
First of all, I was shocked that Joe Biden actually answered a question. And the idea that people are going to decide to wear a mask when everyone around them aren't wearing a mask is absolutely crazy. It's like putting a big sign over your head that says, hey, guess what? I haven't received the vaccine. People that are either vaccinated or unvaccinated will more than likely start to take off their masks sooner rather than later. The question is, will this work to end COVID-19? Well, once again, we know that this can work. If we look at the different states like Texas, Florida, Mississippi, and other states that have decided to relax some of their guidelines, and their cases actually went down. If this actually works for across the country, then we can thank these different Republican governors that took a risk and ended their mask mandates and proved that the science was on their side. However, the issue is that the Democrats are going to claim that they were the ones that killed COVID. We know the truth. The Democrats were scared and wanted to stay locked up forever, and they may be wearing their masks forever too, as once again, masks are the MAGA hats for the left. In the end, I'm glad that Joe Biden is creating incentives for people to get the vaccine. And this time period right now is very exciting, as right here is the COVID endgame, and I'm hoping soon that COVID-19 will be a thing of the past. All of the politics of COVID will be thrown away, just like the masks. Soon the idea of wearing a mask will be a memory that no one wants to remember or live again. Soon we will be back to normal 100%. Hopefully this will teach us that sometimes people like Dr. Fauci lie and claim that their science is absolute, when in reality they could be ignoring some other facts and are creating a culture of fear. To change this, we must decide if we are going to continue to wear a mask or not. That decision is something that you have to make on your own. And once again, I will remind you not to be a jerk about any of this and let people do what they want. And with that, I just want to thank you so much for watching this episode of the Dockery Docket. And until next time, like my mom always says, be good, be kind, be loving, goodbye.